So to start off with, just to introduce us a bit as Make Happen, if you haven't heard of us before, we exist to help young people find out about their future options. So whether that's university, college, or even an apprenticeship, as we are going through today, we're here to give you all the information you need to know to make that best decision for yourself. So we work with different universities, councils, colleges, lots of different people all around Essex to make this activities like this one happen. And today we're taking a real focus on higher and degree apprenticeships. So a lot of people, they know about sort of how apprenticeships work, and higher and degree apprenticeships are a little bit different. So we're going to be going over those today. So as well as a bit of an introduction, we're going to be highlighting the benefits that you should expect from an apprenticeship. And also we're going to finish off by a few practical tips as well. So how, for after today, should you go out and do your research about apprenticeships, but ultimately go out and find and apply for them too. So to start off with, how do higher and degree apprenticeships come into the grand scheme of things? I've just seen in the chat there. We've got some animal care students as well coming in. Good afternoon to you guys as well from South Essex College. So how do the apprenticeships go in with the grand scheme of things? So I anticipate at the moment, a lot of you guys at South Essex College are studying for either a level 2 or a level 3 qualification. So as you can see on here, that's probably something like a BTEC or a T-level qualification. And the apprenticeships work sort of slightly differently to this. So they are sort of a separate sort of strand, and there's a lot of different levels with an apprenticeship. So you might see things like intermediate apprenticeships, advanced apprenticeships, high apprenticeships, and degree apprenticeships. So as you can see on here, a level 2 apprenticeship is what they call an intermediate apprenticeship. So it's equivalent to a good pass at GCSE level. Advanced apprenticeships are equivalent to level 3 or a good pass, a BTEC level 3 or an A level. And then those higher and degree apprenticeships are what is covered in higher education. So this is that top bit on here on this chart here, which goes deeper into a particular subject. Now, no matter what level of apprenticeship you're studying for, these three elements all apply to all apprenticeships. It's a real mixture of working and earning while you're learning. And with the higher apprenticeships, these go from level 4 to 7, and they're equivalent to at least a foundation degree, but often they can be higher too. Whereas on the other hand, a degree apprenticeships are much more on the upper end of that chart. So they cover more level 6 and level 7. So they are likely to be equivalent to a full kind of university degree and masters. So if we go back quickly on here, you can see sort of the degree apprenticeship is for that sort of top ends, and it's equivalent to at least a university degree, if not higher, and then a higher apprenticeship is at least equivalent to a foundation degree. So you may already be aware of this, but no matter what level of apprenticeship you do, there's a lot of different advantages to it. So you're likely to receive a lot of employee benefits. One of the main pulls is that you don't have any student loans and no tuition fees. So with a higher degree apprenticeship, they are equivalent to a university qualification, but you don't have any of the same financial obligations. It's a real chance to develop your skills and experience a work-based learning environment, which is probably very different to what you had at college or even school in the past. You get a qualification at the end of it that you can prove that you've spent your time on your apprenticeship. As we said, you're earning while you're learning. You're improving your employability as well. When you finish an apprenticeship, you are going to be really trained up in a particular area. So this will help you get onto a particular pathway in the future. It's a structured and practical learning. So it's not just going to a job every day. You are ticking off aspects to pass your course at the same time. And in terms of the high-end degree apprenticeships in particular, there are a lot of similarities with how they work with universities. So not all universities in the country currently offer a high-end degree apprenticeship, but over 80 do in the country. So quite a lot of them do offer apprenticeships at this level. The qualification you get at the end of it is exactly the same. So you'll get a university degree, exactly the same as someone who's just gone down the university route. But you also get that professional status as well. You get that status of doing that work-based learning in that environment. Now, it's a little bit different with a higher and degree apprenticeship in that the employer selects the university. So the way that it works is that you just apply for a job in a way that you'd normally would, and then yeah, and then the employer will select the university for you. 20% of your time is for studying. So that might equate to sort of, having one day at university a week, similar to all other levels of apprenticeship, and you get paid a salary as well. Now, I've got some headline facts and figures for you guys here. So in 2022 and 2023, I want you to sort of figure out how many people studied a degree apprenticeship and a higher apprenticeship. So I want you to put in the chat, if you think more people studied for a degree apprenticeship, can you put a D in the chat? And if you think more people said higher apprenticeships, can you put a H in the chat? So how many more people studied for a higher, or was it a degree apprenticeship? So which one had more applications in 2022, 2023? Brilliant. Thank you very much. We've got a D in the chat. So someone's thinking it's going to be more of a degree apprenticeships that people started last year. So put a D if you think it's degree apprenticeships, or H if you think it's a higher apprenticeships. We've got a H, or going for the other one. We're a bit divided on the call. Give you a couple more seconds to say your answer.
Oh, I think you might have a hand up, Perry, from South East Essex College.
Okay.
Oh, it's gone down now.
No, I think they were sort of shortly after that they put something in the chat. So that is all good. Yeah, no worries there. So let's see the answers with that one. So there were 41,000 people who started a degree apprenticeship and 93,000 who did a higher apprenticeship. So there are a lot more of those higher apprenticeships out there compared to a degree apprenticeship. Now, the important thing to say with a higher and degree apprenticeship is that it's still quite early days with these qualifications. So they are going up year on year. So although this is what the figures were a few years ago, that is likely to change when you guys will be looking at apprenticeships. And then in terms of how long it takes to complete a higher and degree apprenticeship, it's normally about 3 to 6 years. So it's at least as long as a university qualification, but it has the potential to be slightly more depending on which subject you choose. And in terms of the subject that you can choose, there are a lot of different areas. So on here is just a snapshot of some of the different areas that you can look at. And there's a lot of different research that you can do to see all the different apprenticeships that are out there. So before the end of today's session, I will be sharing with you some good places to start in terms of looking at some of those. But as you can see on there, there is apprenticeships on there for things like animal care, as you guys were mentioning earlier, and also things like care services and health and science as well. So the subjects that you guys are currently studying at college who were here at the beginning, there are definitely relevant ones available. And some of those companies that you could work for can be big companies. And what's better to sort of look at these big companies than doing a little bit of a logo quiz? So I'm going to give you a few minutes now. Can you identify who these apprenticeship employers are? Go, go, go. Okay, I'll give you 30 more seconds just to have a go. Great. And we're going to feed back again in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Brilliant. Okay. So all of these employers on the screen here offer a degree apprenticeship, and all of these are quite big companies that you can look out for when you do your apprenticeship research. But who are they? Let's take a bit of a look. So the first one is HSBC, the big bank. We have Royal Mail on there. There's BT, Lloyd's Banking Group, Bentley makes the kind of luxurious cars, EDF Energy, the NHS, and it's important to say with the NHS, you know, for those that are looking to do careers within the NHS, it's not just sort of doctors and nurses. There's a whole varied sort of range of different careers that they offer. So, you know, things like physiotherapists and people working within the community, that is all encompasses the NHS. We've got Amazon on there, one of the biggest companies in the world, of course. The RSPCA, those who are doing animal care might be a good one to look out for. The Army, they offer apprenticeships. Specsavers, Hovis, Transport for London, Unilever, and the holiday company TUI. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of the whole breadth of different apprenticeships which are out there. And that's just the scratching the surface of it. There are a lot of different smaller companies that also offer apprenticeships as well. And when we go through how to search for apprenticeships later on, you'll be able to see exactly how you might be able to discover the opportunities out there. But of course, one of the main things with an apprenticeship is being paid at the end of it, because you don't get paid going to university or even going to college. But with an apprentice, you do. So what I want you guys to have a guess at now and put your answer in the chat. How much do you think an apprentice earns per hour? Have a go. Cracking. We're getting some answers coming through the chat. Oh, pretty on the ball here from the looks of it. Just going to give you a few more seconds if you haven't already. So far, we've had £5.20, £5.30, £5. Any other offers coming through now? Last chance. No, let's see what the answer is then. So the current minimum wage, or should I say from April, so from a few days' time, will be £6.40 per hour. I think the sort of current apprentice wage is probably more more sort of related to what you guys were guessing there. But from April this year, the minimum wage for apprentices will be £6.40 per hour. And you'll notice that I stressed the word minimum because a lot of apprenticeships will pay you more than this or pay you this rate at the start. And then as you progress through the apprenticeship, the rate goes higher as you go along. And with a high-end degree apprenticeship, it's at a much more advanced level than, say, an intermediate level apprenticeship. So you will be rewarded for that. So when you look at higher degree apprenticeships, they normally don't have the wage per hour. It's more classed as your earnings per year. So there's a few examples on there of some higher and degree apprenticeships, and this is essentially your wage whilst you're training. And then hopefully when you complete your apprenticeship, that will be bumped up. And as we mentioned earlier, there are a lot of different benefits that you'd be able to access as an apprentice, all depending on which job you go for. But with an apprenticeship, there are a lot of differences compared to a standard qualification. And each apprenticeship has a different, what they call endpoint assessment, which basically is how they sort of look at your learning from the course and make sure that you are at the correct standard. So this might include things like a practical assessment. It might involve you completing a project, might involve having an interview, different tests, an observation, or it might be a lot of different combination of these things. It's not necessarily going to be any exams or written assessments. This is a properly, workplace learning style course. So as such, you'll be assessed on your ability to do that certain job. Now, with a higher degree apprenticeship, you are gaining the same level of qualification as, say, a university student, but there's going to be a lot of different similarities and differences between going to university and studying for an apprenticeship. Now, I'd like you to have a little think about what do you think those similarities and differences are, and we'll feed back in just a second. Go on, have a go. Okay, and in the classes that you're in, if you get a few sort of ideas, feel free to put them in the chat. See, there's a few coming in now. Okay, a couple more seconds. If you haven't yet, just put a few ideas in the chat of what the general discussion has been in your class. Doesn't necessarily have to be right or wrong. Great stuff. Okay, then let's go through some of the things that you've been submitting over to me. So, apprenticeship makes money. University, you have to pay for. Yep, absolutely. So the money side is often a big one. Someone else has said, yep, university costs money. Apparently, uni, you might have to move away from home. Yep, absolutely. University is more full-time study, whereas an apprenticeship is more on the job. Um, Potentially have no exams, and apprenticeships gives you more independence and gives you experience. Yeah, absolutely. So you guys are already on the money in terms of what an apprenticeship is like. But with a higher degree apprenticeship, yes, there's a few differences, but there is a lot of crossover and similarities as well. So the best way I think to look at a degree and higher apprenticeships is that they are the best of both worlds. You get paid employment, on-the-job learning, um, and all the sort of benefits of working in a job, whilst also getting the support benefits from the university at the same time. So if you are sort of focused on knowing exactly what area you want to go into, then yeah, an apprenticeship is often a really good option. And this is all well and good, but at the end of the day, getting an apprenticeship um, is half the battle. So once you decided, yep, I want to consider looking at seeing what's out there, what are the steps that you need to take in order to get there? So there's a few different steps in that process. So there's researching, there's hunting for that apprenticeship vacancy, is actually making your application. It is selecting which one is going to sort of work for you and also work for the company, and then it's actually starting it at the end. So researching is always going to be the start point. Whether you're doing an apprenticeship, university, or something else, you want to make sure that you have all the information that you know to make that best decision for yourself. And there's a lot of different places that you can look for that online with apprenticeships. With looking at different vacancies and hunting it down, you need to make sure that there are vacancies available in the area that you would like to do your apprenticeship in. Now, someone said on the chat earlier that, with university, typically students do move away from home for. Now, with an apprenticeship, there is nothing stopping you from moving away to, study for an apprenticeship, although it is sort of less typically done. Then it's the application process, and that can really vary between different apprenticeships. It might just be as simple as sending your CV across, or it might be that they want you to, take an interview or undergo an assessment when they want you to apply. And yep, hopefully when you apply and you will get ultimately selected for that apprenticeship, that is when you can start thinking about preparing for that vacancy. Now, a couple of things to mention on this timeline. You'll see that there are no dates associated to any of these steps, and that's because apprenticeships recruit all year round. So it's not like the UCAS cycle where there's certain dates allocated to each step of the process. Companies are looking for apprentices all year, all times of the year, and there can be different start dates as well. Whereas September might be the most popular start date, some apprenticeships nowadays do start at January or at other times throughout the year. So it's worth looking out at all times of the year, as long as you are due to finish your course by that point. And finally, just to say, if you are in two minds whether to get an apprenticeship or go to university, you can always apply it through to UCAS for university at the same time. So in terms of what you'll need to get onto a apprenticeship, these again really can vary, but often they'll look for a good set of GCSEs. They might ask for your experience within apprenticeships. It might be that they are looking for relevant subjects that you studied relating to the apprenticeship, but it's worth checking the job advert as they are all different, as we're about to see when we look at a few different adverts in a moment. So there's a couple of different places that you can look for apprenticeships, and one of them will be UCAS. Now, UCAS traditionally have looked at more university options, but over the last few years, they've really increased the different apprenticeship opportunities that are available as well. Now, it's important to kind of note with the apprenticeships exactly which level they are looking for. So as you can see on the bottom left there, you can filter your search by what level of apprenticeship is available, and then you can sort of make sure that the right ones come up for what you are looking for. And then also you do have the government website. So the government Find an Apprenticeship website is where you can look for apprenticeship opportunities in your area. And sometimes there may be sort of different opportunities coming up on the different platforms. So it is worth looking around and seeing what is out there, and different opportunities come up all the time. So if you are sort of set on this being an option for you, there's nothing stopping you from continually sort of having a look to see what opportunities are out there for. I'm going to take an example as well. With some of these sort of apprenticeship opportunities, they may be quite competitive. So it's maybe worth sort of really signing up for accounts for these services, both on the government website and the UCAS website, but then also with employers as well. If they have their own apprenticeship platforms, then it's important to sign up for them as well. I'll give you an example of this. So the BBC offer a brilliant media training in terms of apprenticeships, but they only open their applications for a very short amount of time. And I believe the most recent recruitment process, it was only open for about a day or two, because they know that once they've got a certain amount of applications, they're pretty confident that they've got people that they can select for that. So rather be safe than sorry. Do make sure that you sign up with the companies and also the search services to make sure that you're getting email alerts come through when these type of opportunities come up, because they might not be around for very long. And in terms of each website, between the two main apprenticeship search organizations, they display the information in slightly different ways, but they will all have all the information you need to know on there. So if you wanted to sort of have a quick look at those two different search services, then here are the QR codes. If you want to sort of save them on your device to have a look at later, then feel free to. But we're going to go over them in just a second. We're going to have a quick example look through to see exactly what apprenticeship vacancies are currently out there. So I'll give you a couple more seconds if you want to sort of get that on your devices for later on, but we are going to go through it in just a second. Right, if I can get my screen working, I'm just going to exit my slides for a moment. Great. And so, yeah, on here we've got the UCAS website. I'm hoping that we can all see this. I'm sure Sam will let me know if you can't see that, or
Yeah,
if you
Terry,
can't.
you're still on your PowerPoint at the moment.
I'm still on my PowerPoint. So,
Yeah, it's not full screen, but you're still on your PowerPoint screen.
okay, let me just try that again.
No worries. Just while you're doing that, Perry, could
Yeah,
I
go
just
for it.
remind people who, so we've got one new person who's sort of recently joined us. If you wouldn't mind popping your email address in the chat, that'd be great. No one else can see it apart from us. And Health and Social Care group from South Essex College, if we could just have the number of attendees you have, that'd be brilliant. And we can see UCAS now, Perry, you're good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sam. So as I mentioned here, this is the main UCAS page that you can all see now. So as you scroll down, you can go down to the apprenticeship section, and then we can search for something. So as we've got some animal care students on here today, let's type in animal care and see what comes up with that. So there's a few jobs on there at the moment that are associated with animal care. So we've got an environmental practitioner degree apprenticeship. We've got sort of an engineering technician, agriculture account manager, veterinary support apprentice, and a few other options as well. And then as I mentioned earlier, you can get new job alerts for this search by email. So you can be kept up to date with different opportunities as they come up. But let's have a look at this veterinary support apprentice. I like the look of this one. So as you sort of scroll down, you often see a bit of a description of what the employer is like and what the position will involve, what benefits you get, the salaries like, and a lot of other information as well. And then if we take a look at the top here, we should normally be able to see. Okay, so this one's an immediate it's immediate start, I should say, but it's an advanced apprenticeship. So this one is equivalent to a level 3, so either an A level or a level 3 BTEC. So it's a good opportunity, but it's not quite the level we're looking for if we're looking at higher and degree level apprenticeships. Let's have a look at this one instead, the environmental practitioner, because I can see from the title here, this one is a degree apprenticeship. So what's this role all about here? So helping people and wildlife adapt to climate change, reduce impacts of flooding, drought, sea levels, and coastal erosion. And it gives you quite a lot of detail here. So 1 day a week will be spent at university rather than in place of employment, be learning activities at your workplace and some working outdoors. And it will lead to an environmental science and degree apprenticeship at the end. Great. So this gives you all of the different information you need. So this opportunity starts in September. So there's plenty to look out there for on this one. So that's an example of what you might use with the UCAS search service. Now let's have a look at the government website. So let's have a look at something like health and social care. Let's see if anything comes up with that. It's important as well if you want to see some opportunities that come to your current location, then you can do that. And we can filter it by how far away as well. And then if we just want to look at the, let's go for hired apprenticeships this time. Let's look at that and then click search. So this doesn't come up with anything at the moment, but it is a bit of a trial and error with this sort of the search facility. So let's just try looking for health instead. That might help us along. And again, sometimes it doesn't always come up with the best opportunities. So we've got a construction one here. And that is all at this point in time. But if we look at something sort of a different one, so let's look at IT instead. This might come up with different. Nope. Okay, third time lucky. Well, let's look at something like law, because I know that there'll be some opportunities coming up. Well, I thought there'll be opportunities. If I widen the search. No. We had luck on animal care just now. Let's have a look at animal care. So what have we got here? This is early years. So this is more sort of in terms of childcare. So just by sort of having care in the title, it's sort of flagged up these opportunities which aren't necessarily what we're looking for. So it can be a little bit of trial and error with these different opportunities, but it is well worth seeing what's out there. I wonder if I can just search without keywords. I can. So these are all the higher apprenticeships that are available. So I'm currently based in Colchester, so it's given me some opportunities here in Ipswich, sales executive, sports coach, accounting, electrical designer. So we've got 78 pages here, so it's quite a few. So this is all what's available at this point in time. Right, let's look at this one in engineering. So similar to the other one, it's quite sort of similar in terms of what each of the search services will cover, but it will give you all of the information you need to know in terms of, how many positions are available, because sometimes they might have more than one position available. And it will sort of spell out to you as well exactly what skills and personal qualities they are looking for too. So that gives you a little bit of an insight into what to look out for in terms of when you are applying for these apprenticeships. So that was literally a quick whistle-stop tour with them, but do take the time to have a look through them, as you'll be more likely to look for opportunities that will suit yourselves. And as we kind of went through there's a lot of different things that you want to look out for. Some of them you might want to prioritize more than others. So the location might be important to you. It's important to think about what is your wish list at the end of the day. Do you want to be on an apprenticeship which is, at the right level? Are you looking for just those higher and degree apprenticeships? Or can you be a little bit flexible with that? Are there any sort of like locations that you're looking for? Do you mind moving away? It's, worth coming up with first what your dream sort of apprenticeship scenario would look like, and then you can work from there. It's, may not be likely that you'll be able to achieve sort of the dream scenario for a lot of different reasons. But it's well worth kind of having a good idea in mind of what that success would look like first of all before looking at the different opportunities are available, and then you can you have something to go from. We've covered this already, but there's a lot of different methods that they can choose to find the right person with an apprenticeship, so it's well worth considering that as you're looking through. I think we've gone through a lot of this as well in terms of just making sure that you're looking through all of the job adverts well, and that you are making sure that you're applying with a professional mindset. Now, as we were looking at a minute ago, there's going to be a lot of different skills and qualities that they're looking for, and this essentially gives you clues about what to write about and what they are looking for in an application. So if you can mention all of these different skills on an application, that gives the employer confidence that you are that right person for the job. So for example, if you are being asked for examples of teamwork, and make sure that you have that at some point within your application. And also backing up your claims with that too, as we're going to go through in a second. And there's a few different ways that you can do that. So we have two different methods that we recommend to students to use. They are the ABL method and the STAR method. And the best way to describe what that is like is if you studied GCSE English in the past, you can't just say a quote and sort of, expect the examiner to assume you know what you're talking about. You have to back it up with a reason why sort of that quote relates to the argument that you're presenting. So it's all about sort of forming that argument why you are the best person for a job within the context of an apprenticeship. So let's take one of the skills listed in a job description. So for example, team working. So with the ABL technique, the A stands for activity. So think of an activity that you've done that's linked to team working. So if you have a part-time job at McDonald's, for example, then you highlight the skills, knowledge, experience, any of the benefits that this has given you. So for this example here, they've worked with a lot of different crew members in a busy environment. And then link it back to the vacancy. So how does this experience link to what you're applying for? So with this example here, they say that they're looking forward to developing the skill further within this specific role. Or if you know that the role has a particular link to that skill, then you can mention that too. So this is just one way of backing up your point, is using the activity, benefits, and the link to the vacancy. Now there's this other technique that you can use called the STAR technique, which is where you explain the situation, describe how you use this within a task, what you did within that task, what action you took, and what the result was at the end of it. So, for example, if you were trying to prove that you have good communication skills, you could say that when you're in the sixth form, you're asked to deliver an assembly to year 7. And the task, so you had to create a 10-minute assembly to promote the charity week. And then what you did within that task, what you in particular did, sometimes it can be tempting to use words like we to describe like what the group did, but it's what the employer is looking for is for what you specifically did in that scenario. So with this example, they created a PowerPoint and a speech to explain what the week was and how to get involved and generate excitement. And then finally, the results. So the assembly went well and they felt more confident and raised a record amount. So really just to underline the importance of, following a template like this, you could easily just say a situation. You could say, oh yeah, when I was in the sixth form, I delivered an assembly for year 7. But by adding these different layers on top, by sort of explaining what task you actually had to do, what action you in particular did, and what result came from it, really helps to solidify what you had to offer within that situation and why you would be a good fit for this company. So you can use this in a lot of different areas as well. So you can use it for a time in which you used your initiative or something that you're proud of. Any of the skills that we saw on the job adverts earlier, you can use either of these techniques to try and sort of dig deeper into what actually happened within the experiences that you've had. And just to sort of round off the session for today, these are some final tips to consider whenever you're applying for opportunities. So do show your enthusiasm and commitment. With an apprenticeship, it's sometimes less so about sort of what qualifications you have or to a certain extent your experience, but how much you actually want to be there in that role. With any application that you do, you want to sort of make sure that you're checking your spelling, grammar, and that you've backed up your claims with evidence, and ask for feedback as well. That is always really helpful to provide for your sort of future development. And make every application individual as well. Sometimes it can be tempting to sort of copy and paste your applications, but you can't possibly attack each different skill that they're looking for if the application is exactly the same. So make sure you're adapting it to exactly what you're applying for. And so in terms of where you can go to next to sort of do some further research, I'm going to leave this screen up for the end here, but just to sort of highlight some of the opportunities that are out there for you. So the apprenticeships.gov.uk is the government's main page for apprentices. Amazing apprenticeships on there. They have a whole bank of resources on there of different categories that you can apply for in terms of apprenticeships and different industries that you can go for. Rate My Apprenticeship is a service where students can actually say what their experiences are of an apprenticeship, which can be quite helpful to gain some insight in if you don't already know someone doing that apprenticeship. And as we mentioned, those bottom two there in terms of the government applying system and the UCAS applying system as well. Brilliant. I hope that's given you a bit of an insight into higher and degree apprenticeships. As I mentioned earlier, these can be really good opportunities if you're looking for that work-based experience whilst also getting that qualification at the same time.